Imagine being sentenced to death for a crime you did not commit, awaiting a day you will be executed while knowing you are innocent. This could happen to anyone, even someone you love. Understanding the implications of the death penalty makes you a more informed citizen and voter. As a human rights advocate, I have researched the deep flaws of the death penalty system. We must abolish the death penalty because it is irreversible, costly, and ineffective deterrent, which is fundamentally unjust and prone to grave errors. First, I will discuss the problems inherent in the death penalty system. Then I will address and refute the standard arguments in favor of it and propose actions to eliminate it. Let us investigate why the death penalty is fundamentally flawed. Irreversibility and risk of innocence. The irreversible nature of the death penalty means mistakes cannot be corrected. Since 1973, over 185 death row inmates have been exonerated. The death penalty should be abolished, and many people have been sentenced to the death penalty, yet they are innocent. How can you bring them back? You cannot. The death penalty does not prevent crimes. People who commit crimes think of the fact there is possibly they will be sentenced to death. It is crucial and flawed, and there must come a time when it is stopped. No government should give itself the right to kill human beings. High cost of the death penalty cases. Death penalty cases are more expensive than non-death penalty cases, including pretrial, trial costs, appeals, and incarceration. Financial comparisons from various state reports in the Death Penalty Information Center. The cost of a system that substitutes life in prison without the possibility of parole for the death penalty is significantly higher. The need for more attorneys and experts of both sides of the case, the lengthier trials and appeals that must occur when someone's life is at stake, and the comparatively low number of accusations are some of the factors contributing to the high expense of the death sentence. The death sentence is not applied in most situations where it is requested. The most likely result of the case is that the conviction of the death sentence will be reversed in the courts once it has been imposed. Lack of deterrence. There is no conclusive evidence that the death penalty deters crime more effectively than life sentences without parole. The death penalty affects only a tiny percentage of those who commit murder. The National Academy of Sciences has determined that prior research has neither confirmed nor refuted a deterrent effect, making its impact challenging to identify. No, there is not any solid proof that the death penalty works any better at deterring crime than lengthy jail sentences. States with death penalty legislation do not have lower rates of murder or crime than those without. States that have done away with the death penalty also do not appear to have seen any appreciable drops in crime or homicide rates. While some argue in favor of the death penalty, these points are crucially flawed. Establishing opposing viewpoints. The death penalty is a deterrent. Proponents claim it prevents crimes. Statistically, evidence and studies show no apparent deterrent effect compared to life sentences. The death penalty delivers justice for victims. The emotional appeal is that it provides closure to victim families. Many families of victims advocate against the death penalty and they report that it does not bring closure and prolongs their pain. Many victims oppose the death penalty, claiming that it merely makes their suffering worse and does not provide closure. Some who have lost a loved one to murder feel that they will never be able to sleep until the killer is put to death. But this is only a small number. This feeling is by no means common. However, as someone whose mother-in-law and husband were killed in an assassination, Coretta Scott King has said, I stand firmly and equivocally opposed to the death penalty for those convicted of capital offenses. An evil act of retribution does not atone for an immoral act. A human life is never taken in the name of justice. Legalized murder is never right. Remark given in September in Washington, D.C. to the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. And so many times they print this in the ACLU document. Only the worst criminals get the death penalty. The death penalty is believed to be reserved for the worst of the worst. Evidence of the racial bias, socioeconomic factors, and arbitrary factors significantly influence who is sentenced to death. African Americans have long occupied a disproportionate high number of death row spots in our country compared to the share of the overall population. When comparing the accusation rates of black and white criminals over the past century, the former were frequently put to death for crimes like rape and burglary. They were deemed less severe for white people. 405 men were killed for rape between 1930 and 1976. Juveniles made up a more significant proportion of the executed black population. and more black people were executed without having their convictions overturned by a higher court. Knowing these issues, we must take action to abolish the death penalty. Imagine a justice system focused more on rehabilitation and less on punitive measures like the death penalty, leading to a more humane society. Educate others about the realities of the death penalty. Support organizations like the Innocent Project and campaigns against the death penalty. Contact your legislators to sponsor bills that abolish the death penalty. Let us summarize why this challenge is crucial. We discussed the irreversibility, high cost, and lack of deterrence and successfully refuted common pro-death penalty arguments. Join me in supporting abomination movements and lobbying our lawmakers to end this inhuman practice. Recall the oppressor wrongfully awaited accusation. Abolishing the death penalty ensures we never sacrifice an innocent life.